In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at multiple upcoming severe weather events as well as a surprise major snowstorm potentially in the northeastern states. Let's just dive into things and take a look at all this weather we have going on. It is going to be very active. Again, we have that springtime severe weather, but also a very late season major snowstorm potentially on the way that we need to take a look at today. Now, typically, the first time we talk about a potential snowstorm, it's in the long range, but not this time around. We're actually going to see it rather soon. So let's dive towards tomorrow, first things first. That's going to be for March 30th here on Saturday. And let's take a look at this. We do have a pretty major storm system offshore of California at 998 millibars right there. And this is causing some snowfall for the Sierra Nevada and rainfall in some surrounding lower elevation areas. We do have some relatively weak areas of low pressure. We have 1,001 here in eastern Colorado and then 1,005 here in Ohio as well. Both kind of bringing some precipitation around, but more light to moderate if anything. Both have some snowfall and some rainfall depending on your location. Pretty similar lows over very, very different areas, but the impacts are pretty similar. Sunday here on the 31st, what we see is this California low has kind of taken a deep dive down the coast and it's already weakening quite a bit. We do have 1,004 here to the north, 994 now over Colorado, better yet, and that is going to be your primary low at this point. And then we have 1,005 over southern Illinois, causing some moderate to heavy rainfall for Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky there. Let's keep going, and as we reach towards Monday on the 1st, we see this eastern Colorado low has basically slid eastward towards eastern Kansas there as 1,000 millibars. We see a very strong and prominent warm front across the east of this low, but no real cold front underneath. You can see there's not really a lot happening there, so we're missing that cold front as of now. So let's see what ends up happening. Most of that severe weather activity would be on that cold front side of things, and we do develop it by Monday into Tuesday. That's going to be the 1st into the 2nd of April. We see this stretching cold front underneath. Severe weather along it for portions of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas there. And we still have a pretty impactful warm front out to the east of this low, where this is bringing pretty heavy and sustained rainfall to a lot of these areas. By Tuesday afternoon, our low is strengthening. We have a 996 here, still have that cold front kind of sweeping underneath, warm front out ahead. And we have this Arctic air diving in through the upper Midwest, as you can see. So that air is really working its way in out to the east of things underneath this warm front. We do have warm air surging as normal. Very, very interesting. A pretty impactful setup to say the least. And by the time we're reaching Wednesday morning towards the afternoon here, we do see this cold front reaching the coast. Can hardly call it a cold front anymore. There is a low somewhere in here. A bit of a cold front with a secondary low right there over Florida. And then a warm front here out to the east. But behind this low, we have a 998 millibar low pressure center over eastern Michigan that looks to kind of take over the show. So let's see what happens with this. By the time we're reaching towards the 4th of April, this is going to be the 3rd heading into the 4th of April, we see a lot of energy transfer offshore, a strong low developing offshore of New England, 985 millibars, and we see very heavy snowfall to eastern Canada and portions of New England and the surrounding northeast, as well as very, very unseasonable cold air behind all of this that we see diving in from Canada. Looks like a very healthy and powerful trough here in the east. Another really, really important fact here is this surge of warmth out west. This kind of catapults a lot of this cold air to sink to the east of this really, really impactful ridge in western and central Canada. So we kind of see this create an unbalance where you get this really curvy jet stream here. That all starts out west, works its way eastward, and that's really what allows for this unseasonable cold in the east here. By kind of Thursday morning time frame, this was probably the worst of the storm. We see a 972 offshore of Cape Cod, heavy snowfall down the Appalachian Mountain Range here and throughout the Northeast, even areas in northern Pennsylvania and northern New Jersey getting pretty impactful snowfall. The worst of it, though, is over eastern New York into southern New England there, and even into the surrounding areas of New England in general. This would be a very heavy hitter major snowstorm, especially for the early April time frame. So we're going to watch this closely. Nothing is guaranteed, but it's only about 5 to 6 days out, which usually, again, we see these things much beyond 7 days. This one kind of popped onto the scene here within that kind of 7-day window. So a little unique there. It's still in the moderate range. I wouldn't call it long range or short range. It's definitely in the moderate range. However, confidence is already building as we have a lot of good model agreement. At the end of this model run, we do have the setup for our next kind of severe weather event as we see this huge surge of storms moving up the plains, basically into northern areas of the central states like North Dakota, Minnesota, and even expanding there into Canada. So very interesting. GFS model here as well. We see that this one also brings this very strong low offshore of the Northeast. Very similarly, it's in the 970s here near Cape Cod. And we see heavy snowfall in very similar areas, New York into New England. So great model agreement there. Let's see what happens kind of in the long range. And what we see is we get this kind of quick surge of severe weather across the central states. We get another pocket of it here. And this is interesting. We have 1,000 millibar low pressure center over the Great Lakes, but a stretching cold front expanding all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. You would expect to see some thunderstorm activity definitely underneath that low. And that would be very long range as we're approaching kind of the midpoint of April. And we kind of continue to see these progressive cold shots. And then along that jet stream, we see a lot of storms moving through, some of which have cold fronts, and that brings some severe thunderstorms and all sorts of stuff of that nature. So definitely a very progressive and active pattern overall continuing. Total precipitation, things have died down a little bit out west. We still have some pretty above average amounts, but they are on kind of the decline here. We see the Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast is really where the show is at. This is where a lot of storms move through. We get a lot of activity, both in the form of rainfall and snowfall. Speaking of snowfall, here's the European model's total snowfall. No surprise out west. What I want to do is actually zoom into the Northeast here so we can take a look at this storm. Which, as you can see, for the mountainous areas of New York, into the Green Mountains and Berkshires, the White Mountains through the hilly regions of central Massachusetts, and for the rest of the state of Maine, we're seeing likely 1 to 2 feet of snowfall here. Very heavy hitter, very major snowstorm. It could be one of the most major of the season if this was to occur. And I guess we're in the springtime, so it definitely would be the biggest of the season, but I mean overall the snow season in general. As we take a look here at the GFS model, again, we're going to go ahead and just zoom into the Northeast here. And I want to backtrack. Here's the European model. Here's the GFS model. That is excellent agreement. We see the GFS model has a little bit less out west here and a little bit more for southern New England, but no major changes. 1 to 2 feet here for the majority of the New England area, and then quite a bit of this mountainous New York region. So definitely a very interesting pattern, putting out multiple very interesting severe weather events, and also this extremely late season snowfall event that could be quite major. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.